All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. So it is time once again for a free to playthrough. For those of you that have not joined me for a free to playthrough before, free to playthroughs are where I start a brand new account in Warframe. I spend no money and I set some goal. Usually, that is to get to the end of whatever the current mainline progression is of Warframe and be strong enough for, just generally being able to branch out to all content and farm whatever I want. But with the advent of Duviri coming next month, which is going to be a brand new start for Warframe, I want to do something a little bit different. So this free to playthrough is going to start from our regular beginning of Warframe, what we've known for a very long time, which is to start with Awakening and Vor's Prize. And I'm also going to do a second run where I will start with Duviri start and see how that differs next month after I've experienced Duviri for a while and have a handle on it. So this is going to be a necessarily shorter free to play through run. On purpose, I'm only going to go up to about the second dream. What that means, though, is that it's going to be a chance for me to do an excellent new player guide, and that is going to be available on Brozime.com and also walkthroughs for all of the early quests and so on and so forth. So a lot of guides are going to come out of this. And then we'll see after we do this start and the Duviri start which one I think is better, and we'll continue whichever one I think was the superior way to begin playing Warframe. As I think that is just a good way to judge how good the Duviri start is if we just started and can assess it from this side as well going into it. So without further ado, we're going to get into the opening of the game. Also, things that are worth noting, this is just being pre-recorded. I am going to be streaming the vast majority of this. That is going to be starting, should be on Friday, though look in my Discord, discord.com, or discord.gg/Brozime. If that's going to be rescheduled, that should be on Friday. That'll be the,
No call to wake
what's
you.
the date on that? That's March 17th. So March 17th should be whenever this is continuing on, because we have the Hildren Prime Access that is going to be coming out that I'll be doing as well. But yeah. The opening quest, the opening cutscene, I am going to skip past this, just because you can watch it, and we're just going to get to talking about the starters. So, Excalibur, Mag, and Volt. All three of them have recently received some quality of life buffs in terms of making their lives better as a starter, or making the new player's life better whenever you choose them as a starter. Overall, here are my thoughts on which ones are good and which ones aren't. They're all good, which you'll be happy to know. And if you like the look of one, I would highly suggest that you pick the one that you like the look of. Excalibur is a good sword man. You're going to swing your sword, enemies are going to die. Radial Blind is incredibly useful for new players, especially against like large enemies that you need to be able to disable and then kill, which you're going to run into quite frequently on the junctions. Mag, I think, is the overall best starter. She gets a lot done with farming and just early game just usefulness, with pull being used with your starter weapons. Magnetize is a powerhouse late game. Polarize is moderately useful, and Crush is a great sweeper for early game play. Also, Mag has built-in vacuum, which is very nice before you get to build your first Sentinel, but that's not a huge factor because that'll happen very quickly. And then we have Volt. Volt has received a lot of quality of life updates, and he is just generally much better to play. He usually is going to be leveraging Electric Shield just to make it so you can't die, and you're going to shoot through the Electric Shield to gain more damage. Also, Shock is cheaper now, and it's fine for killing enemies. Speed also has received a buff, and is much easier to maintain now once you have some mods in. The problem overall with Volt is that his 4 doesn't really synergize with the way you want to build the rest of his kit. And even though this is like a late game farming thing, the build for it is quite expensive and is not really going to be early accessible to new players. But Volt is still a very strong starter. I think all the starters are in a really solid place. That being said, we are going to choose Mag, because I think that she is the overall preferred choice in terms of where her strength is at right now. But things aren't going to be too different, and I'm not going to be going down too much of the route of like, oh yeah, you need Mag for this, until the point where you'll be able to farm her anyway. We're going to be skipping cutscenes.
Defend yourself.
New pull, which is fantastic. Grouping enemies directly in front of you. This is a recent change. Making short work of these enemies.
An extraction ship is waiting for you. But the
Also,
grim
you're gonna see me doing like all these like these jumps and movement and stuff. I'm gonna explain this as it comes up. Oh, also some setting changes that I always make. We can get out of the way here. Okay, real quick, we're gonna do a supercut of just some settings and stuff that I personally like and are my suggestions to you. Feel free to do whatever you'd like, though. Starting off in the gameplay section, melee auto-targeting I do not like, so I would suggest turning this off so you can swing your melee wherever you want it to, but if you're just getting used to it, melee auto-targeting is good for beginners. System settings, just a real quick note. I think this is 300 by default, but 250 matchmaking ping limit is about the highest I want to go, just for comfort while playing. Chat settings, keep region off. Questions and answers is not very useful. Trade and recruiting chat are very useful. Would highly suggest it. Turn off inline private messages because these are just confusing and just make a mess of your messaging everything. Profanity is up to you. Don't really care. But I would also suggest that you change like scale to be like of what you want. Personally, medium is good for me, but a lot of people prefer large, especially if you are on console. Although I think on console it may actually default to large, but if you're playing on a TV, I would suggest that you up that as necessary. But yeah, recruiting and trade chat are pretty much going to be all you're ever really going to need, along with PMs from people who are trading with you. So yeah, really just the questions and answers chat, not very useful, especially if you're here. Hey, time to go through settings. These are a thing that I get asked about all the time, so it's probably good to include them here. On contrast, I like 55. Field of view should be maxed. Obviously, if you, for whatever reason, can't handle that, then don't. But field of view maxed is so much more comfortable for the vast majority of people. Brightness, I just keep as normal. And then we have a lot of changes down here. A lot of these are, of course, going to depend on what system you're running on. But these are just some things that I generally would suggest that you turn off. Motion blur, depth of field, useless. Field grain is film grain is useless. And then for bloom intensity, a lot of people just turn bloom off, which you're free to try. I prefer bloom at 5, which I find to be just the right amount of it. And a lot of people also turn off color correction, but I prefer having it on. Contact shadows, these are like fine to have on. Weapon elemental FX, I find to be distracting and annoying, so I turn it off. And that's pretty much all she wrote here. Dynamic resolution is useful if you are on a weaker system. This is going to be able to, have the resolution scale up and down as necessary to keep performance good, which I would suggest trying out if you are having any performance problems. But Warframe generally runs on a potato, so should not be a problem. Then just some things really quickly to go over in the sound settings. The stuff that you're going to find here, master volume, all that stuff, all these usuals, not really going to go over. Adjust it to your taste. Things that are important here, ally mandicord volume. If you hear like weird meme music or if you're getting rickrolled in game and you don't know what the hell is happening, that's usually this. You can turn this down to make it so that allies can't play their mandicord around you. So that is a thing to consider. The rest of this, don't really need to mess with it at all. Although I would suggest that you just turn off voice. There is a voice chat in Warframe, but my general advice to you is that if you are going to be partying up with people and like actually cooperating with them, you're probably just in a Discord. You should use Discord. And then finally, the accessibility menu. Main thing here, make it so you don't have to hold the sprint. There's no reason to do that. And then hold aim weapon to your taste. I prefer to hold for that one. Other things in here, there is a screen shake. Turn that shit off. Reduce teammate visual effects. You're going to want to turn that on, especially because there are a lot of teammates that you're going to run into that have decided to make their abilities neon green, and you want to be able to probably see. But if you want to try with this not reduced at first, just important that it is in here. Also, we have subtitle options down here with also HUD motion. HUD motion can make some people sick, so I would suggest turning it off if necessary. Also, down here in interface, which is behind me, my apologies, you can customize all the colors of your interface. So one of the main things that I always do is I take buffs and I make them green. This is just more readable for me. It's one of the just few examples here. If you don't know what a lot of these things are, don't bother changing them until it's an issue. But you can see it just like reflected in the UI, like all of your changes here. And buffs is really the main one for me personally, but change whatever you want to your taste. Make health the shield color and make shields the health color to really confuse people, and that'll be fun. But yeah, really good stuff overall. That's just, not too many changes here needed. It is worth noting that my keybinds are a bit heretical. I jump with my mouse, and then in terms of my crouching, I do hold to crouch on Alt, and then my toggle crouch is on Control because you'll rarely use it, but hold to crouch is an important one to have quick access to. And then Sprint is just on Shift. I do not have my roll on Shift. Instead, my roll is on my spacebar. A lot of people think that I am a heretic for this, but try it. Just give it a shot. Just going over it right now. So that people don't look at this and go, why are you a cretin? So yeah, that's what's up with settings. Okay, moving on to our first choice here. We have a choice of melee weapon. So we have either the Mark I bow or the Skana. So I'm going to tell you right now, there's no debate on which one of these two are better. The Mark I bow is leagues better than the Skana. The Skana is a cool sword, but the Mark I bow has better mod access early, is longer, and is just literally better damage-wise, and also it has a better ability to modify it. So there's no real world where you shouldn't choose the Mark I bow. Do not worry if you're watching this and you already did the tutorial. You can pick up the Mark I bow really easily afterwards if you don't pick it up here. And same with the Skana. You'll probably end up leveling them both eventually. But as a start, the Skana is definitely what I would suggest, as it is much, much better than the Skana. Also, as for movement, so the main thing that you're going to want to get used to if you want to, like, quickly get into it in Warframe is you will run around and obviously shift, which we have toggled on. And then while you are sprinting, you can hold to crouch, which will make you slide. During a slide, if you jump, you will bullet jump, which is this, like, dash forward that we have here. I'm just going to kill these enemies while I'm explaining this. This is the primary method of movement. If you want to get spicier with this, as it'll take a little bit to get used to for you probably, you will bullet jump forward and then do a roll, which is usually going to be your fastest method of transit through any area without, like, a vehicle, basically. So yeah, would highly suggest getting used to that. It will make you much, much faster, and being fast is, the name of the game in some ways. You have stealth attacks. Stealth attacks, not really necessary. They're nice sometimes, but usually not needed or used.
There's a cache of weapons ahead. Grab what you can.
We will use it for fun, though, as it's been ages since I've done them. Weapons here. So you have either the Lotto or the kunai. The Lotto is your very standard pistol. The kunai are just throwing knives. Between the two, there's not a huge amount of difference, though I will say that the Lotto has one particular situation where I think that it is better. That being said, just choose whatever you think is cooler here. Not going to matter too much. And also, you have easy access to both of these, so it will not be problematic. Oh, also for melee, just to go over some basics. To start here, you're only going to have, like, your one, like, basic moveset here, which is what you're going to be generally using. However, you can jump and slam down, and if you jump and hit middle mouse click, you will do a heavy slam down. Those can be very, very useful for taking out early game enemies who will just simply die from that. Also, your alt fire while you are just standing will do a heavy attack, which for now is not particularly useful, but will become much more useful as we progress through the game. Also, if I'm providing a lot of information, don't worry. The vast majority of this you won't need until much later, as the beginning of the game will really ease you into things pretty quickly, or, well, pretty slowly, rather. This here is where they're just, teaching the basic movement stuff that I just went over. See the smooth movement from here, not actually even supposed to go that high.
Salvage team, why have you not reported in?
We made it. There's the extraction ship.
And we have Vor here, who is a problem. Also, for weapon switching, you can actually hold F, and it will permanently put you into your melee weapon, which means that you can block. So if I switch to my gun, if I hold F, you'll see it flash. That means that I'm locked into my melee weapon, which allows me to block with it, which can be quite useful, especially early on whenever you're much less survivable than you'll be late game. You can see the damage difference there between, like, the heavies. Also, this is a good method of transit if you need to like close gaps on enemies. You can just simply jump upwards and then slam to their location, which is quite useful.
My decrepit heart is pounding. This one is stronger than the rest. Lock the area down. This Tenno is mine.
Quick, get to the console and release.
All right,
the
hacking.
lockdown. Do that, and I will guide you to your old ship. It's your only chance.
So here we have the Grenier hacking. Oh no, they don't have us do that yet. There are different hacking minigames for different factions, is basically the thing that we're going to come up to here in a minute.
Destroy you, but I need to know more.
Guns. So we have a Mark 1 Bratton and the Paris. So this is a cool bow or machine gun. Really, this is whichever one you like. You are going to end up almost certainly using both of these. So yeah, really go with whichever one you want. Like the Bratton is like maybe theoretically better, but it's really not going to matter. You are going to be using mainly the Mark 1 bow for the majority of the early game, as it is just so much better than anything else you're going to have access to for a little while here, as you can see by like the kill time on like the Bratton here and everything like that. All right, here's where we're going to get the hacking minigame. So this is just like a little timing puzzle. You just tap space or your console equivalent, which I believe is X, might be A, just in time with whenever your cursor is over the locks in order to unlock it.
Reinforcements are here. Ship Cephalon. We require immediate extraction.
The operator is in danger. I will need a few moments.
Also, hey, as general feedback, you guys should let me know in the comments if you would rather me just like turn off all the voices and stuff so you can hear me better, or if you'd rather have the quest voices on for the free-to-play through. That would be very useful to know what people like for that. This part, they just have you some like low stakes, fight some guys. Heavy slam, making short work of them, of course. Also, in terms of like why I am killing so many enemies, even though it's just a time limit, the main reason to kill enemies is that it is going to increase your mastery rank, which is just levels on items, translates to your overall level, and that'll give you access to new stuff. The more enemies you kill, the more experience you get, up to the possible top rank of 30 for most items. And you'll see that at the end of the mission here. Whenever it'll tell me my mission results. And we'll get our first login reward. So yeah, login rewards. There are quite a number of important login rewards. So I would really highly advise that you like try and log in every day. That'll become much easier as they are working on a mobile version of the game.
In such a condition. Order
But
me
yeah.
to self-destruct. I will understand.
The Grenier are ravenous for this old technology. It is superior to theirs. Perhaps there are systems left in the orbiter compartment?
Look at this mess. Those savages. Components have been removed. The lower orbiter compartments have no
Tutorial,
life
tutorial,
support.
tutorial.
Why did the operator abandon me? Arsenal management could be restored if the operator wishes it.
Okay. So, here we're going to immediately be able to see some of the more complex stuff. Also, I'm in the ground for whatever reason.
You honor Ordis.
Okay, so.
Now I can supply
Oh, right,
the
we can't actually
operator
access it yet.
better
But yeah, so
modular
these
power
are your
of
items.
the violation.
This is the stuff that you have equipped. There are multiple tabs here. You will eventually get a companion. There are gear.
We need to
All kinds of things to equip here. For now, and really for a lot of the early game, you really do not need to worry about this and can just play.
Salvage for your ship. When you are ready, activate your navigation system.
Ordis hopes the operator will punish the Grenier for dismantling it.
Okay, we're just going to launch the next quest. Also, in the top right, you have a quest menu, so you can always just go here and just do your next quest as long as you still have one.
The segment you need is in a nearby data vault. Infiltrate the vault and retrieve the segment.
The Ascaris is working.
So for this is an introduction to the game mode Spy, where you basically need to get into vaults and retrieve the items and then escape the mission. This mission we're actually probably going to be doing quite a lot as a new player, as it is a very good affinity, although not this tutorial version, of course.
You will start destroying data.
Also up here is an easy way into the vault.
This data vault is equipped with a variety of security measures. How you defeat those measures is up to you. Data extracted. They won't even know it's gone. The segment is yours. Head to extraction.
Run out of here real quick.
Every moment passes, the Ascaris burrows deep.
You can see my items ranking up there up at the top. Got the first rank on the bow. And we can just get out of here. Also, don't feel bad, like, if you are not, like, as quick as I am doing this. That is not to be expected. I have more than, like, 10,000 hours played of this game. So, as a new player, you're almost certainly just getting used to it. Also, thing to note here. We get some mods here. These are upgrades. This little shatter across them, you can see this, like, little, like, three-prong shatter that comes out of them. This essentially means that this is not the full version of this mod. These are some tutorial-sized mods, basically. You'll get the real versions of them later. So I wouldn't worry too much about what you're getting here, as it's not really going to matter.
Orbiter Void Cloak engaging. Welcome back, Operator. The Operator has recovered a segment.
Install it now.
Ordis patiently awaits its installation.
Get communications online. I must analyze what Vors Ascaris is doing to your Warframe. This technology is beyond the Grenier. It must be Corpus in origin.
Systems engaging. I suppose this will do. Ordis
For the
is
codex here,
grateful.
the important thing to note about the codex is this is where you're going to get new quests. So whenever you're, like, looking at what you need to do or, like, trying to figure out what you should be doing, usually your quests are going to be listed in here, and just doing a quest is always going to be a good thing to do.
Contact arms dealers.
Excellent idea, Ordis. Tenno, we need to make contact with
Next
a
quest.
Corpus defector sympathetic to the Tenno cause. They will, of course, require compensation.
You see what Ordis is referring to, Operator?
Alright, this is an introduction to a game mode called Rescue, which is what it sounds like. You're rescuing someone. Yeah, once again, this mission does not really require you to kill everyone. Feel free to do so, though.
How many Grenier slaves died to build this place?
As like I said, that will just give you XP and everything. I'm just kind of speeding through the unnecessary bits here, as there are more efficient ways to get XP, but do whatever you find fun, of course.
This is the prison block. If you can avoid detection by the warden, it may be
Also,
easier
there
to
are
get
multiple
Dark
ways
out.
into these things, but I'm just
Bypass the
going
security so we can
efficient
enter.
ways in that you can
Dark
utilize.
is out for himself, but he is sympathetic toward the Tenno. The Grenier must have found out.
Here he is. We can head out the same way we came in.
Ascaris is working, breaking through. I see the shadows of your mind.
Also, a thing that is worth noting is whenever you see me roll like that, that actually will... Oh, right, this.
It's our only hope of figuring out this
You get your
secret
shields
defector.
turned off. Doesn't particularly matter.
Cells for Darbo. He has to be here somewhere.
Anyway, as I was saying, whenever you roll like this is actually a damage reducer. You can't be knocked down whenever you're rolling like this, and you will also take 75% less damage while you're rolling, and that is in all situations. So you can roll through attacks and into, like, shockwaves and stuff and just take significantly less damage, which is just a general tip for survivability, especially early. Got some more of our beginner mods here.
The Lotus must be desperate to send you fetching greedy fools from the Corpus.
It is mosey through the basic tutorial stuff here.
I see the Operator can enable the mod segment now. Ordis will be delighted to show you how to upgrade your arsenal. May I
Okay, so
recommend-
the mod segment. Here's where we're going to do some clarifying points. So the mod segment is now online. When you look at this, This looks extremely confusing, but don't worry.
To the arsenal to see the
You
weapon
don't
upgrade
need to
options you
know
want.
any of this right now, and not even soon. We're only going to go over pretty much just guaranteed stuff you're going to get. And it's not actually that complicated once it gets explained to you.
Though it is
For now,
technically a
don't
work
think
from
about
place,
this
it
and just
is
continue doing the
enabling optional
tutorial.
features. It is for the
You
operator's
look at the
own
arsenal. From these menus, this is where the confusion can happen here. Looking at like mag, click the upgrade
An
button.
excellent find,
This is a
operator.
mod
There are
page for a
hundreds of these
Warframe.
mods to locate.
So
If my
there's a
calculations
lot
are correct,
here.
there are exactly
There is a ton here in
lot
terms of
of
what you
mods.
can do.
Install
But the
the mod
main
before
thing
we
to
can
take away
continue.
from this menu is if we have stuff like this, which is this is a stretch. It gives me more range, which is always, always going to be good. Well, almost always. You have slots for these things to go into, and you have a capacity, which is how much you can spend. So you can see this stretch costs 2. If I try and put this stretch into a slot, it does not work. I do not have 2 points. However, you can see these light up green whenever I pick this up. That is because its top right little polarity is what they're called, matches, which means I can dump this into one of these slots because it will cost half, rounded up, in this slot so I can get that bonus. That is the main important thing to learn about modding for now, is if you put it in the slot where it matches, it costs half as much, or is just in general twice as good. So yeah, that's what's up with modding. You can slap in just whatever will fit, like this fits, so whatever, slap it in. Anything is better than nothing at the beginning of the game. There are not really mods that will give you a downgrade. So yeah, if you have the number for it, just slap it in. No big deal. It's going to just be better. Moving on. Also, a thing that you can do, and the thing that I generally would suggest and do, visible when holstered. I turn all these off, just because I just like having just the Warframe look, and then they'll materialize their weapons as necessary, which is just a thing I prefer. You can also customize your Warframe's appearance. You will have access to very little at first, but a few colors to choose from here if you want to switch things up a bit. These are, of course, microtransaction type stuff. It is worth noting in terms of color palettes and also cosmetics in general, there's a ton available for free. Most holidays will actually give you a different color pack and everything. And the Pride palette for Pride Month is one of the best palettes in the game, bar none. It's absolutely insanely good. So if you're strapped for colors, you eventually won't be just naturally through playing the game.
We may have a problem. The colony is unresponsive. Get to the surface so we can see what's going on.
All right, run through here.
The Grenier are here, and I cannot find any signs of living colonists. You still have a job to do. Find the Foundry segment.
Oh, these zip lines, you can land on these by using the interact button, which is X by default on keyboard and mouse. It's the same button you use to hack and all that. And here, grab this.
Your ship is one step closer to completion.
Now it's time to eliminate the enemies.
There's one more thing you need to do. Eliminate all Grenier and provide justice for the colonists.
Soon the worm will be in your spine, and I will control this Warframe of yours.
So now we are essentially on the exterminate mission of the tutorial.
And bring you home.
Exterminates, which you will do quite a number of, I'm sure.
There is a large platoon of Grenier Marines stationed here. Leave no one standing.
Yeah, Mark Winbow makes, quick work of these guys. Enemies will, set off alarms and such, but honestly, it's usually beneficial to have the enemies set off alarms, but I'm just getting the enemies out of the way. Yeah, just jumping and doing the heavy slam takes really short work of the enemies this early on, of course. And we found a mod.
Mission complete. Excellent work, Tenno.
Yeah, and then we get some just like, more of those basic mods as our, starter stuff just for completing tutorials.
Your foundry segment is ready for installation, operator.
All right, the foundry. So this is one of the main things that you're going to be doing just constantly all the time. Maybe the single terminal that you'll interact with almost the most, especially early on. This is where you build stuff.
Foundry restored. Here, the
So,
operator will craft many powerful
here are the things to note. A lot of people see this and like see these timers, 30 minutes, 1 minute, 0 minutes, yada yada, and all that, and get very concerned that there are going to be like real limitations with this. Here's the overall breakdown of building stuff. You can build all Warframes. They're all buildable. You can just like go farm any Warframe and then build them. That will take 12 hours per base part, and then the full build of a Warframe takes 72 hours. So basically 3 days for you to build a completely new class and get to use it. Weapons generally take 24 hours, so it's 1 day whenever you get the resources for them. And then there's many, many things that take like 24 and 12 hours and yada, yada, yada. The important thing to note here is that it's really easy to farm new weapons in Warframe. Obviously, there are exceptions and there are certain weapons that are hard to farm, but by and large, everything is really easy to farm. Also, these timers will run concurrently. So you can build like 25 weapons all at once, and they'll all be ticking down at the same rate they'd be building if you were building one. There are no limitations on like only being able to build one weapon per day or being able to build nothing while you're building a Warframe or anything like that. It's all just, if you have the stuff, start building it, and it takes a certain amount of time, and you can keep building other things and keep playing and keep unlocking stuff, but you'll have a timer before you can use your new things, basically. And that's just because you can also just buy these items directly from the shop. By and large, there's actually quite a few items that you can't do that with now, that they won't even let you purchase. But yeah, generally speaking, that's how the building stuff works, is that you just have a timer, and there's no restrictions other than you can just start all the timers and then let them all tick down. But yeah, just to talk about any concerns with that for anyone who's new to the game. Next mission here, getting some materials to build the thing that gets the plot device off of us.
Intel suggests that this outpost is hosting.
Oh, so here's an important note. So whenever you look at these waypoints, you can see that they have a distance on them. So this is 169 nice meters, and that is 2 objectives that are 200 meters plus away. So this is obvious, of course, but you want to go to the one that's closer to you first. But it's just a thing to make note of, is that you will often have multiple objectives. Get this cache. Important thing here, you want to break this area so you can pick up all of the items that will drop here. You can also open lockers. Generally speaking, opening lockers is not very worth it, and what you're going to want to do instead is break containers. Containers are generally speaking much more profitable than opening lockers ever will be. So you like these containers like this on Corpus missions and such like that. These are like much more likely to give you materials and things. Also, there's like, besides just like these, which are giving me like credits and some other stuff here and all this business. Besides those, there will also be actual like material caches, which I should be able to show you at the next one. I blew up the one that was at this first resource area. If I see one on the way, I will go through here. This one just right across here. So yeah, here's some of them right here. These are polymer cases. Every material has its own like unique, this is this specific material on the ground here. So yeah, that's what these ones look like.
Good work, but you're not done yet.
You can do a slam just to like easily break all those. Opening up some lockers and such. Just get to grab some early materials and such here. Yeah, those will often show up as like a rock or like a gross thing for you to break. Open all these up.
The Ascaris has reached Use your mind and rend it
Oh, here's one. Yeah, so this is Rubido. Rubido you're actually going to want early, so if you see one of those, definitely break it.
over your own free will. You are mine.
Getting some more of those guaranteed mods. Also, nice thing to get early is a Neuro. There's a few things that need that pretty early on. Yeah, this mission pretty much intends to give you all the materials you need for the thing that we're going to be building. But materials in general, not very difficult to farm. There are many good ways to grab them. So we're going to build the Ascaris Negator. Although we're going to wait for the prompt, because occasionally you'll have to build it twice. Although I think that bug has long since been fixed, but, you know. 5 years ago, whenever I did this, I had to build it 2 times, which is a waste. But I'm sure that's probably not actually a thing anymore. Yeah, so this will just take 30 seconds to go through while these guys are talking.
But with a flaw, we are diseased, rotting, sterile. But now we have you.
Operator, do not abandon me again. Build the countermeasure.
I did this for my love.
Alright, grab the Ascaris Negator.
They will forgive my insubordination when I deliver
Pop that off of us, which just happens automatically.
Be reborn as we feed on your divine blood. Our children will flourish without disease. And I will die at last, at peace. Father, grandfather. What do you think you're doing? What a waste.
Tenno. Good. You managed to disarm Boris Ascaris. I thought I lost you. Oh no. The Ascaris had a tampering failsafe. It's burrowed into you and armed itself. We'll need to find Vor before it detonates. Get to navigation. Boarding a Grineer ship to access the personnel records will be the fastest way to find Vor.
Operator, what are you waiting for?
Alright,
Ordis assumes
headed out to get the nav segment.
Violence?
Yeah, a lot of this early stuff is fairly self-explanatory. Just trying to hit some extra points and, you know, make sure I hit everything in case anyone has any trouble. Grineer containers.
Made compatible with your ship. Find and extract a navigation segment.
Rubido, I want to make sure I grab that. And that'll be fairly normal just across all missions, is that there will just be materials on the ground.
Queens. But soon, the Ascaris will complete its task and bring you to me.
Also, just some general movement stuff, not very important here, but you can run up walls. So if you jump and then jump into a wall, you'll like bounce off of it in most conditions. So you can really just kind of go anywhere with the movement. All right, grab the segment we're looking for. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what's gonna happen. There's a yellow marker there, and then there is a green marker there. Green is extraction. We are gonna go to extraction. This is technically a choice. I will tell you, as of currently, we are 10 years into this game, and that choice does not do anything. So you can do it if you think it's going to affect something eventually. I did it on my original, like my main account has done it. But feel free to do it or not do it.
When you are ready, proceed to the navigation console. The detonator is charging up.
Okay, with navigation in, we get access to the actual star chart now. But first we need to, well, we can just go do these other things before we go fight him. But yeah, we are just going to go fight Vor right away.
Are you ready, Tenno?
And this, I have it on public, so we might actually match with some other new players. I am doing this quite late at night, though,
This is
so
our chance.
wouldn't be too
War
surprised
has
if we don't
been
find
stripped of his
anyone.
elite guard. He is vulnerable. Take him out.
I
Oops,
could
up too
have
high.
saved the Grenier, but they cast me out. Maybe it's not too late to draw your divine blood.
Oop, got stuck there.
This is our chance. Vor has been stripped of his elite guard. He is vulnerable. Take him out.
I will put you down like a rabbit.
All right, here's Vor. So here's the stuff. Vor, the slams work really well on him. And then whenever you have these parts, he will summon some dudes. Whenever you kill the dudes, his shields will go back down.
Target acquired. Take them down.
We can slam a jam on him to put his shields back up.
Your corpse will serve us well.
And there we go.
The Ascar's detonator has just disintegrated. It's as if it was directly connected to Vor. You're done here. Go to extraction.
Yeah, simple and done. Easy. Little tutorial.
They won't be bothering us anymore. Let's get out of here.
You can see just the ranks on our items going up. You can also extend this, and there is like a stats page if you want to see everything that you did.
You've done it, Tenno. Vor's Ascaris is gone. You are free now. But your work has just begun. The origin system is in chaos, and it needs you, Tenno.
Right.
Vor was just a part of the Grenier machine, and we have seen that the Corpus have begun amassing weapons of their own. It is a dangerous time.
Ordis will gladly assist the operator in cutting a bloody path in whatever mission they choose.
All right. So yeah, now we have just a few
Decide.
things here, just
There will be
characters,
others too.
lore
It
stuff.
is time for the Tenno to return.
And with that, Vor's prize is completed. So yeah, this is the start of a new free-to-play through. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Like I said, future stuff is going to be streamed, and then I'm going to cut it down for YouTube, so look forward to that stuff. And that's also going to lead to a bunch of guides over on Brozime.com. If you are watching this pretty much right around when it gets, comes live, the 17th, Friday, we are going to be starting this on stream fully, because we're probably going to be done farming Hildren Prime Access and all that good business at that point. So come check it out on Friday for that. And yeah, it should be a good time. We have some new spice for the free-to-play through in terms of our routing and pathing to what we're going to be doing early. Should be super interesting. And thank you for hanging out and watching. And yeah, see you on Friday, hopefully, ideally. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. And, of course, as usual, thank you very much to all of the new and returning patrons that we have, and especially to the super patrons, $10 plus patrons. So that is Brutus Salazar, Dylan Dworsky, Thrain, Afon, James Harthorne, JC4 Science, Jefferson Clark, Joshua Adams, Lou Zanth, Malek X. Williams, Finty Ginja, Mitchta, Nicholas Gridley, Paradise, Remoxidate, Shan Harding, Zach Zaner, and Zeraphir. Also, of course, thank you to the rest of the patrons, $5 and $2 patrons. And thing that I just wanted to note, we have news on Duviri. That's going to be next month. So this month, I think I want to do 2 different new player free-to-play throughs. One for the Duviri stuff next month, and I think I want to do one this month. So look forward to that happening, and this will probably be on the end of a couple of those videos whenever it does happen. But yeah, I think there's going to be some free-to-play through progress there for people who have been waiting for that, and that's going to lead to a bunch of new guides. So yeah,